Hey Flower Tribe, it's Kelly Lehman from Cranberry Fields Flower Farm, and today I want to give you 5 tips on how to take great pictures of your flowers. So one of the most important things to do is to come out either in early morning or late afternoon, because you want to get that golden hour when the light is kind of diffused, it's pretty soft, and you don't have like that harsh noon sun shining down on the flowers, because a lot of times what that does is it washes out the color. So instead of having vibrant like blue colors for these hydrangeas, I'm going to wind up with like a washed out whiter look for them. So the golden hour is really important. Another thing that's super important is to kind of walk around and see where like the best perspective for your flowers is. So a lot of times I'll come out here early morning and I'll actually take my camera. I shoot all of my video and all of my pictures from my iPhone. I've been doing that for like 10 years. So either take your camera from your phone or your regular camera and walk around the flowers that you want to shoot and take a look where the best perspective is, because sometimes I'll wind up actually crawling underneath the plants. Like I will literally get underneath here and I'll take the camera and I will start shooting up in the air like this just to get those really amazing shots, like those really poofy shots with the blue sky right above. So a lot of times Sheldon will come out here and I will literally be underneath half these shrubs. And other times I'll take like a little step stool and I'll wind up shooting some of these flowers from above, because sometimes I want to get like this down type of look. Like right over here, as I'm looking at these flowers over here, I'm looking down. I really want to get these gorgeous white blooms, but I need to do that by being kind of, high and on top of them. So you can either, look up high, look low, but perspective is really, really important. Another thing that's really important is to get rid of some of those weird, annoying, like background objects that can be like disturbing, or it's not like part of this beautiful nature scene. What I mean by that is this: we had moved around a couple things before we even started shooting this video. And before we started shooting, the background looked more like this. So we realized when we took the first take, there was a lot of, I call it like background noise. Like there was no reason for this to be back there. And so your eye, the people that are watching you, your eye is kind of drawn back there instead of to the beautiful flower. So that's really important. Another thing that's super important is to make sure that your flowers are hydrated before you shoot them. So I knew I was going to be shooting this video this morning. I made sure that these hydrangeas had a really great deep root watering yesterday. So when we came out here early this morning, they were nice and poofy. So if I were to come out here, say like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, what happens is a lot of times hydrangeas will do something called flagging. And even if they're hydrated, even if the plant had a drink of water the day before, they're going to be exhausted from that really, really hot heat that they've been getting pounded with all day. So a lot of times they'll wind up getting kind of wilted looking, and they're not as poofy as they are in early morning or late afternoon when they kind of poof back up again. So guys, another tip is that close-ups are key with flowers. So I love taking shots showing like, the actual, like the big picture of the garden, where I'm standing, what you're looking at. But a lot of times when you want to show people the flowers in your garden, it's important to not only give them like the big picture, a lot of times the close-ups are where like that wow factor comes in. And what I mean by that is when you kind of zoom in on the beauty of some of these gorgeous flowers, I mean, when you come really, really close, when you see these pictures close up, a lot of times that's where the magic happens. And I'll also try to capture like a blue sky in the background when I do some of these close-ups. I think it's really cool to kind of use like the sky, the clouds that are going on, the blue skies, especially those bluebird sky days, to capture even more of a stunning image.
This footage was taken during peony season, during the harvest, and the sky is the star of the show with this video, and the peonies are kind of like an afterthought. They're, like a little they're highlighted at the end, but the sky and the peonies together were what made it so beautiful. Here's one more example of how I used the blue sky in this photograph. I have the peonies in the very front, then my beautiful daughter Jill's in the middle, and you can tell the green trees and the blue sky in the background are my backdrop.
And the last tip I have for you today is to experiment with your focus. So if you can get kind of like a really focused shot, that's beautiful. But another really beautiful thing to do is to try to blur the background as you're focusing on the flower. So you can use the portrait option that's on your phone. And when you use the portrait option, you can kind of pull out just a little bit to capture that really beautiful blur in the background. But if you don't have the portrait option on your phone, you're using a regular camera, you can basically just find like a shallow depth. And what I mean by that is you're going to find like this flower here has like a little bit of depth behind it with this green leaf. So what I would do is focus on the flower and then kind of play with it until I got this leaf to blur. I'd kind of move the camera closer, then I would pull it back, and I would try to get this to blur until I get that beautiful flower focused up front and then the blur in the back. I wanted to give you one extra bonus tip on what we do when we're shooting film back here, especially if there's an occasion, like if there's a wedding or if there's a prom or like a Mother's Day, and we want to have like a really huge display of flowers in back of people. Sometimes what happens is you'll have like a hedgerow of, you know, hydrangeas or roses or whatever you have, but there's some gaps, like you might have a lot of leaves that are in a certain spot. And so what we'll do is we will come out here, think about where we're going to line up, you know, people for the shot. And if there's a whole bunch of leaves that don't have blooms on them yet, we'll go to the back of the plant, and then we'll wind up taking a couple bonus blooms from the back of the plant. We'll snip them off, and we will wind up making an arrangement, you know, with them later on in the day. And we'll wind up, you know, clogging up those holes. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So guys, this is what the shot looks like after we kind of dolled up, you know, the hydrangea bush with some of the extra flowers that we took from behind. So this is what it looks like. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of like a reverse engineering now. I'm going to show you how we place them so you can see the spots where we put them. So some of these are clipped. So this branch was taken from the back of the plant. Whoop, this one. Not that many. I think we just have like 2 or 3. Oh, this one too. So, you know, not a ton, but I have to say, and we also kind of move these branches around a lot. So when we first came out here, this is what the spot looked like. So you can tell how it's mostly green over here until we, you know, moved some of the branches, we shifted them around, we added these extra blooms that I cut from the back of the plant back here. And yeah, so it made a really big difference. But that you want that wow factor when you're taking pictures of your family and your friends in front of your flowers. Okay, so that's today's bonus tip. Okay, we were filming just now and I have a second bonus tip because we started filming a video and we were doing something super fun and I wanted to tell you guys about it. So my bonus tip is to play with the settings of your camera if you're filming on like an, you know, an iPhone or an Android, and use the slow motion if you're doing video because it's so fun. And this is what one of the clips that we just did looks like. It's just like a very whimsical, fun little gizmo to play with. And, you know, if you don't have that on your camera, when you're editing your video later, you might be able to slip in like the slow motion, you know, however you do it on your editing. And I think it's kind of fun. So check this little clip out. Well, thank you so much for joining us in this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. And the last thing I'm going to tell you that I love to do, and I forgot, it's the what? Oh, okay, thank you. And one of the last tips I'm going to give you is to use your focus. I have a plane back there, but I don't know if you can hear. Let's stop it for a minute. When you're working with your editing, so your editing skills. So when you're working. Thank you so much for joining us in this video, and please say hi to us over on my Cranberry Fields Instagram page. You can also find us on TikTok, and I made a whole bunch of podcasts for you. You can find those wherever you listen to your podcast. And please also let me know where you're viewing this from in this great, big, beautiful world. I love to see how our flower tribe is growing around the globe each week. Also check out our Kelly Lehman's Flower Tribe Facebook group because there's thousands of gardeners from all over the world, and they're asking and answering loads of garden questions over there. And know that YouTube has allowed me to have a super thanks button attached to this channel. And if you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee or let us know if you appreciate these videos, that would be terrific. Or you could just give us a like or a comment below. I would appreciate that. And I will see you guys in the next video.